What is up, people? We're back with yet another Criclytics Man vs. Machine. We're going to be, of course, picking Mark Butcher's brain about the repeat of IPL 2020's final. Delhi Capitals taking on the Mumbai Indians, and has different subplots this time. Yup, it's going to be a good narrative, this one, going into Tuesday. We have Mark Butcher to chop it up for us right now. Butcher, I'll get straight into the mix by asking you about these two teams, because the last tournament, which was in 2020, of course, 4 times they faced each other, and it was a 4-0 convincing performance by Mumbai Indians head-to-head.
Yeah, very, very tough. Very tough side to play, aren't they? I mean, even though Mumbai aren't able to take on Delhi or anybody else for that matter at home at the Wankhede Stadium, they are a powerhouse in this competition. But as far as Delhi are concerned, I think the fact that they're playing in Chennai isn't particularly helpful, particularly given that Axar Patel, I think, is still injured. Is he still out of the mix for him? I hope he is.
Yeah,
otherwise that's ruined.
Yeah, he's still out.
Yeah, he's still out of the mix. So they've only got Ashwin to call upon as a spinner. Although, the pitch there played okay in the recent, the last match. I think the groundsman's put a bit of water on it for a change, and it seems to have gone through a bit better in the last game at the Chepauk. But I think that the key for them, really, if they're going to turn over Mumbai, is they're going to need to be very, very sharp at the death if they're defending. We all know how dangerous, even if you get Mumbai in trouble, they can still punch their way out of a corner with the likes of Pandya and Pollard at the back end. And if they're chasing, I think they need to be the same sort of fearless approach that we've seen from them in the wins over Punjab and Chennai Super Kings. Forget the reputations of Bumrah, forget the reputations of Mumbai Indians, and kind of go after them and try and put them to the sword, put them under pressure, make them make mistakes. I think that's the only way of turning it round. I mean, 4-0 is a pretty bad record for them. But again, it wasn't in India, it was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So they have to go at it with a clean slate, and I'm sure Ricky Ponting will be telling them to do just that.
Yeah, speaking of the champions, Mumbai Indians, of course, you take a look at how they've done so far in the tournament, and you try to put a finger on the chinks in their armour, so be it, and people invariably point at the spin. But my question to you is about their overseas pacer. They've experimented with Marco Jansen. They've, of course, even given Adam Milne the nod. Do you see that being a weakness, potentially?
Potentially. I mean, the problem, again, is that Mumbai have all of the bases covered, and one of the things about a champion side is that if one of your players or one of the cogs in the wheel is not performing, then somebody else picks up the slack and takes it up for them. I mean, I wouldn't say that Adam Milne's was a disaster in the last match. I think he only got through 3 overs and was quite expensive. And Marco Jansen actually went okay in his first 2 games as well. And if Mumbai decide that they want to have 2 left armers in that bowling lineup, they should very well go back for him. I don't see it as a massive issue. And if Mumbai have decided that Adam Milne is the right man to have in their bowling lineup, they will pick him again. Just because he's had one slightly off day doesn't mean that they will write him off for the rest of the tournament. And again, that's sort of a mark of a good team. They kind of, if they've had a good plan or they think it's a good idea, they won't throw it out the first time it doesn't go right. They will say, no, our thinking was sound in this. He just had a bad day. We'll stick him out there again and he'll prove us right.
Absolutely. Criclytics, in fact, suggests the Pacers are going to thrive in Chennai more, believe it or not, despite Rahul Chahar picking up lots of wickets as well. They believe someone like a Harsha Patel, a Dwayne Bravo, those kind of characters get into the game more. So maybe Delhi and Mumbai will try to look at maybe Pollard or Pandya, who could do the similar job for them. Let me put you on the spot right now, Butch, in terms of our 1-minute pitch right now. And I'm going to focus on Shikhar Dhawan. He's been looking terrific. We saw that, of course, in the last time Delhi played their game, 92 of quick time and good take 2. If you were an Indian selector, given the fact that the World Cup's around the corner, would you have him in your first 11?
Well, I mean, it's an interesting call, isn't it? I mean, even in the 5-match series against England just recently, they experimented with KL Rahul. Shikhar Dhawan himself played only the 1 game. Virat Kohli opened in the last one. Ishan Kishan went up at the top. It's clear that they haven't settled on their openers or whoever's going to go out there with Rohit Sharma. I think we're quite certain that he's going to open the batting. And I would certainly say that Shikhar Dhawan, given his increase in strike rate, has put himself right up there once again to be picked. Obviously, vastly experienced. One of his problems was that he didn't have that high 130 plus strike rate for an opener. And India have decided that they want to go about their T20 cricket in that way, be a lot more proactive at the top. So Shikhar Dhawan has done exactly that in the IPL, and if that form continues, he puts himself right up there. And then I think Kohli will be quite happy to drop back to number 3, where he's been so successful. So yeah, he's a huge option, and he will be right in the back of the minds of the selection.
Yeah, it's a problem of plenty for India right now, given the fact that they boast of such amazing batsmen on top. And maybe Shikhar Dhawan, considering he's a southpaw just like you, Butch, might have an extended case in that regard. Let's move on to the Criclytics Man vs Machine predictions, because Butch, it was a tough day for you on day one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a tough day. Although, again, if the machine's allowed to have 50% more guesses than I am, then it's gonna win, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll give you 2 shots of the cherry. The reason why our data team has now asked me to tell this to you is because the last game, for example, Chris Gayle and Shikhar Dhawan had the same range of points, and hence they couldn't be separated. And that's why you feel that maybe the robot had 2 cracks of the cherry, but we'll let that be. Let's start with today's predictions then. And the batsman, I'll tell you who Criclytics thinks it's, well, the men we were talking about, in fact, Shikhar Dhawan and Rohit Sharma, both the openers from respective teams. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with Shikhar Dhawan for sure. I think Quinton de Kock's due, and so I'm quite happy to throw him in there. And I know he keeps wicket. I know I haven't chosen him as my wicket keeper as well. I'm a fast learner.
I was just going to interrupt and say no, but then you've kind of hit the nail right on the head then. Fair enough. We'll stick with your predictions. Let's move on to the bowlers. And this is where it gets really interesting, because there's so many who've done well, who've blown hot, blown cold. There's Rabada who comes to mind. But believe it or not, this is what Criclytics thinks. Rahul Chahar, given the fact that it's in Chepauk, and Anrich Nokia, if he does get the game.
Yeah, I mean, Nokia, we just don't know, do we? We're not privy to the information that says that he's going to be back and playing again. So in that case, I've gone for Bumrah. And again, I'll pick another one if you want me to. But given the spirit of the way that this was supposed to go about it, I've gone for Jasprit Bumrah as my one pick. And I would appreciate it if the machine just picked one as well.
Okay, we think it's safe to say that the machine will go for Rahul Chahar in all probability, given the fact that he's obviously thriving right now, and you've gone for Bumrah. So both, of course, Mumbai, all-rounders. And, of course, there's Marcus Stoinis. I nearly call him Bitstoin, which is his new name going around. There was also, of course, Kieran Pollard and Hardik Pandya in the reckoning. But Criclytics, wait for this, thinks it's Stoinis and Pollard on equal points.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I had Pollard down as my one pick. If they're both on equal, then I'll have them both as well. We'll cancel each other out on that one.
Okay, and this is where you can really go gung-ho for Quinton de Kock in part 4, which is the wicket-keepers, of course. You're a big fan of the South African man doing it up top. He did it last year, but he hasn't got off to that same flourish like we've seen so far. The 40-odd should help him in the last game. Quinton de Kock, or would you go for someone like Rishabh Pant, who you're also a huge fan of?
Yeah, well, I'll go for Pant. This game, I think, is going to be a difficult one to call. I mean, a lot is going to depend on the surface at Chepauk. We know that. So I'm kind of hedging my bets and not loading it all with Mumbai players. So I'll go for Pant as a wicketkeeper. Anyway, I couldn't go for Quinton de Kock because I'd already got him as a batsman, right? So
you've gone for Dhawan and de Kock as your batsman. So whoever performs will take that as a winner. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That's fine. And so and Rishabh Pant is the. And Pant is the keeper.
Pant is the keeper, fair enough, because I think giving Criclytics is suggesting the opposite in this case. So it's suggesting Quinton de Kock to your Pant. So let's see how that turns up. Catches also matter, Butch, because that could separate the two sometimes. We've seen that with Brian Lara. And just to give you a reminder, he finished on 12-12 before he's joining us back in a month's time. So maybe it's something that you can watch out for to beat. And he was chuckling about the fact that you lost 4-1 as well. Let me just throw that out there.
Well, I figured out that now that I've got off to such a bad start, I'm going to have to get my nose in front and then do everything that the machine does after that. Once you get 1-0 up, you just do everything. It's easy.
It is. Let's see if you play safe. Let's see if you play safe in terms of the match result, because I know that you have something for Delhi in your heart of hearts. But sentiment aside, who's going to win this one. 53% is what Criclytics backs Mumbai Indians to win this contest.
Yeah, I'm going with Criclytics as well. Again, I have to. I think.
You don't want to lose a point here, do you?
No, exactly. It's too close to call. Mumbai got ambushed a little bit in that first game by the future champions RCB. But I think that they've won a couple of games now on the bounce without really kind of playing as well as they can, and that spells danger for the rest of the lineup. I still think Delhi will make it into the top 4. Don't worry about that. But I think Mumbai. I'll tip Mumbai for this one, and again, I'll lose nothing if I go along with the computer on this one.
Fingers crossed, Butch. Fingers crossed. I'm with you on this one. Lastly, fantasy picks. Just a captain and vice captain shout out, please.
Quentin de Kock captain, Shikhar Dhawan vice captain.
Okay, both left-handers. Of course, the left-handers union being made sure by Mark Butch out there, and he's promising to, of course, deliver on the musical act as well. We'll get it out of him sometime in the course of the season. Until then, we'll catch you on the other side. Thanks for watching cricket.com, and thank you, Mark Butcher, with your predictions. Right, that's all we have time for. We'll see you in the next one.